Welcome back to the channel. Today we're back in the seat and we're back talking, of course, about the pride of North Wales, Wrexham Football Club. We're back in the seat talking about the Wrexham Roundup, everything that's happened at the football club over the past week and a half or so. We've had the international break, we've watched Wales play England and Belgium, which we'll talk about briefly, of course, with Wrexham player involvement in that game. We've had some proud moments. We've, of course, got championship action back tomorrow away at Stoke City. We've got some big injury news that we need to be talking about that could have a really good effect on Wrexham's season between now and, of course, the end of the championship campaign. There's going to be a lot to talk about. It's been about 2-ish weeks since the last video, but there's still some talking points that we do need to be talking about. And if you'd like to see more Wrexham content, make sure to get down there and click the subscribe button. Of course, you might have watched my video a few weeks ago. There's going to be little content, of course, in comparison to last season in League One, where, you know, there was probably 3 a week. But of course, with me now being in university, there's going to be probably once a week. There's going to be times where there's going to be one every 2 weeks, but I'll continue to bring content to your screen. So if you could support the channel, make sure to subscribe. Let's go for a big like target as well. Everyone at home watching this right now, let's go for 650 likes on today's video. So if you're watching this, make sure to get down there and click the like button. And without further ado, let's get talking first about the first major topic, which I think is quite a milestone in Wrexham's journey under Ryan and Rob. So despite the disappointing result against Belgium last week for the Welsh national team, it was a very proud moment for the thousands of Welsh Wrexham fans that were watching Wales's World Cup qualifying fixture in Cardiff at home to Belgium, in a game that ultimately decided whether Wales would qualify automatically for the 2026 South American World Cup. And unfortunately, it's not going to be the case now. We got defeated 4-2 at home to Belgium, who, again, they weren't great, but I think Wales made them look good with poor bits of play. Of course, we're going to be talking on, you know, the big moment that happened in terms of Wrexham's point of view. Kiefer Moore, Nathan Broadhead, 2 subs came onto the pitch. Wales were 3-1 down. Kiefer Moore wins the ball back on the edge of the box and he assisted Wrexham player Nathan Broadhead. One Wrexham player assists another, Nathan Broadhead, to bring us back into the game, which we thought was going to be the case on the 89th minute. We thought, is this going to be one of those magical nights back in Cardiff? But again, it wasn't to be the case. I think we conceded like 40 seconds later to Leandro Trossard. But again, it was sort of a pinch yourself moment, because these types of scenarios we thought would have deemed impossible a few years ago, probably even like 2-3 years ago. 2 Wrexham players representing Wales on the national stage. Nathan Broadhead, of course, scoring that really good goal on the edge of the box. And if we're talking about that goal, I think, you know, in terms of Broadhead and his career at Wrexham so far, this is a side to the player that we know is there. We know Nathan Broadhead is that type of player that is creative in the final third, can put the ball in the back of the net, and we've seen how convincing he can be in the final third. Of course, he showed great composure to take it past the defender, the body feint, and then fire it past 2-time Champions League winner Thibaut Courtois, which again is a really good moment for him. I'm sure he'll be very proud of himself for that, and a glimpse of the player that Nathan Broadhead is, and a glimpse of the player that I think we're going to see over the course of the championship season. He can be a magical player in that final third. We've seen it for Ipswich Town in the championship. He showed it for Wales. He showed it for Ipswich in the championship and in the Premier League. We just need to see it now for Wrexham. Of course, he's been nursing an injury for, you know, you could say since the time that he did sign for Wrexham, but now he seems fully fit. Let's get him back into the starting 11, playing week in, week out, because he's one of the very few players, I think, in this division that has proven himself and can score goals, and is one of the best creative sparks going forward. So if he can bring that magic into the final third of Wrexham, we could see a very good version of Nathan Broadhead over the course of the season, because we don't struggle to put the ball in the net at the other end of the field. It's just about whether we can get Nathan Broadhead creating those chances, assists, goals, etc. Anything to do with goals, Nathan Broadhead, I think now is his time to really shine for Wrexham. And I think as well, given, you know, that impact that he did have off the bench on, you could say, the biggest stage in international football, of course, it is a massive game for Wales, and he showed great composure, put the ball in the back of the net, came on for the past 20 minutes or so, had a good impact on the game, of course, getting the ball into the back of the net past Courtois. So I think there's a very good chance that he does start tomorrow away at Stoke City. If that's not a sign, then I don't know what is. And if we're talking further on this, I think it does just put into perspective how much Wrexham have grown in a short period of time. Just under 8 years ago, we were relying on goals coming from Isaiah McLeod, Carlem Bailey-Nichols, we're looking at Tyler Harvey, all these names that, you know, you'd forgotten about. But when you think back at it now, of course, the newer fans, of course, post Ryan and Rob, won't have heard of these names and won't know how hideous these players were and how much we were scraping the barrel for, free agent signings, getting players from other clubs on loan who, couldn't hit a barn door with a banjo at their parent clubs, have come to Wrexham, and we've seen no different there. And now you're looking at Wrexham's squad. We've got 3 Welsh internationals. We've got Issa Kabore. I'm probably missing out on an international there, but you just think 3 players representing Wales. It's what we've dreamed of over the past 10-15 years since our last international, of course. Dennis Lawrence of Trinidad and Tobago, Carlos Edwards. There's probably one in between then that I've forgotten about that I haven't written down here. But to now have multiple internationals in this Wrexham squad in comparison to the absolute dross that we had a couple of years ago, I think is just a statement as to how far and how much this club has grown. Moving on to a loan watch now, and I think it's getting to an interesting stage of the season for multiple different players that we have got out on loan due to obviously them performing well, and some that we need to talk about today that could their future be in jeopardy at the clubs they are on loan at. If we're starting on Seb Revan, starting on a positive note, Revan continues to excel at Burton Albion down in League One and continues to excel in a Burton team that have had a real change in fortune over the past couple of weeks. They've jumped out of the bottom 4, I think, for the first time since the start of the League One season, gaining 4 points in their past 2 games. They got a great away win away at Cardiff City, who are obviously competing at the top end of the table. They beat them 1-0, and they obviously gained a point at home to Doncaster Rovers in that 1-1 draw. Seb Revan is continuing to perform down that left-hand side for them, a consistent performer week in, week out. He's yet to register a goal contribution, but his performances have been very, very solid, and like I said, he's one of the first names on the team sheet and is contributing massively to their success that they've seen over the past couple of weeks. Talking on Paul Mullin, now I think a real question does need to be asked on what is going on with Paul Mullin? What is going on with the once 100+ goal Wrexham striker over the course of 4 seasons? What is going on for Mullin in League One for Wigan Athletic? And it's been a very inconsistent start to life at Wigan for Paul Mullin, and I don't think it's down to his own doing. I really don't. Part of it might have been, but part of it, you look at this from Mullin's point of view, he must be so frustrated with this situation. We're looking at Mullin, he'll start 2 or 3 games, he'll got that really good goal away at Lincoln City, away at Bolton Wanderers. He shows those moments of magic, and okay, his involvement in the team apart from his goals might not be that heavy as other strikers in the team, but he's one of the only strikers in this division that can produce moments of magic like that, and he must be, looking at this thinking, I've scored some really good goals. His confidence must have been really sky high, despite, of course, I think they lost 4-1 to Bolton. His confidence personnel-wise must be so high to then go into the next couple of games and be on the bench and only come on for the next 20 minutes. It must just have a really damaging effect on any confidence, like I said, that he has had coming off those goals that he has scored. And then obviously look at, of course, the rumours about the manager, Ryan Lowe, possibly leaving Wigan Athletic, possibly walking out the door. So whether that's having an impact on Paul Mullin's form at Wigan Athletic, there's a chance, but on the whole, I think he'll be very disappointed with, of course, him scoring those brilliant goals in a Wigan shirt to then being dropped, obviously, the next week and barely coming on for 20 minutes per game. It's very disappointing. I don't think we're going to recall him in January. I think, of course, location-wise, it suits him really well, and I don't think we'd put him and his family through returning to Wrexham and going back out for the second half of the season. That's the least of his worries. I think that's the least he needs at the minute. So I think he's going to stay the full season at the Latics, but let's hope the situation for him in terms of game time can get better over the course of the season. Tom O'Connor now. O'Connor continues his run of playing a full 90 minutes since signing for the posh Peterborough United down in League One. It's been a relatively unsuccessful spell for Tom O'Connor on the whole, as of course Peterborough United still sit bottom of the League One table, but in terms of Tom O'Connor wise, he's playing week in, week out. He's played every single minute since he signed for Peterborough United, which is always going to be the key for him. That's all we really care about as Wrexham fans. We want to see our players playing week in, week out. He deserves it. He's playing at a good level in League One. Could he be playing for a higher up side? I definitely think so. I think he could be playing for a top 10 side, but again, it's about what he is happy with. Of course, he must be happy at Peterborough United, so let's hope the form can continue and he can continue playing week in, week out for them. Jacob Mendy, of course, is our other loanee on loan at Peterborough United. Mendy isn't quite at the full 90-minute stage yet, which is completely understandable given the fact that Mendy hasn't had a run of games and a string of performances, 4 or 5 games on the trot in obviously any team, most specifically at Wrexham, over the course of, I'd say, a good 18 months. So it's understandable on that sense, but it's good to see him getting a regular 65-70 minutes per game at Peterborough United and playing regularly, which I'm sure he'll be really happy about. Moving on to our final loanee, Mo Fall. I don't really know what to say on Mo Fall, to be honest, because you're looking at Mo Fall, he scores plenty of goals in the EFL Trophy, but rarely gets any league action for Port Vale. You think both of his goals, or he might have scored 3 for Port Vale, have all come in the EFL Trophy. Then you're looking at the next league game, he's on the bench, he comes on for 1 minute. I really don't know what's going on there, but it's not really been the lone spell that I thought it was going to be for Mo Fowl at Port Vale. I thought this is the perfect opportunity. He didn't get his chance for Wrexham in League One. He's now going to a newly promoted side where he's going to be playing week in, week out. And to be honest, it's been quite the opposite for Mo Fowl, and I'm very disappointed for him. But at least his picture still sits proudly in my university room. Moving on now to a very big talking point, and a very important talking point for Wrexham fans who are watching this video at home. Some big news that I'm sure a lot of you will absolutely love to hear and will be delighted to hear. Midfielder Ollie Rathbone is in contention to be involved in the matchday squad tomorrow away at Stoke City. Rathbone was involved in practice games and training. He's been back in contact training for the past couple of weeks, but now is back fully fit after suffering that ankle injury in our Down Under tour 94 days ago. He is now back in contention to compete for that ever-growing quality and that ever-growing position, which of course is the central midfield role, where we've got plenty of options. You're looking at the new signings, Ben Sheaf, Lewis O'Brien, we've got George Dobson playing really well. Not only is it good to have Rathbone back, of course, because of how well he played last season, but it's going to add further competition and make sure that no player can get comfortable in their boots, because Ollie Rathbone is going to be knocking on that door straight away. Yeah, and of course the boost on not only the squad, but I think on the team in general, it's a massive boost given his performances, especially in the second half of last season. He was probably our key player and one of the key players in why we got promoted to the Championship. It throws a big spanner in the works, of course, for competition. It's a good problem for Phil Parkinson to have. I'm sure he'll have a headache once Rathbone is back fully fit and of course is contending to play in that midfield role. So it's an incredible bit of news, one we've been waiting for the past couple of weeks. And if we're looking now on another summer signing, Libby Kakachi is back on grass and is being monitored by Phil Parkinson and the fitness team. He's worked hard to get back in shape, which is really pleasing, is what they've said. I can't see him be involved in obviously the squad tomorrow away at Stoke City. He's been pictured in the training photos, but whether he's going to be back straight away in that left back spot, I really don't know. I'm sure he's worked really hard over the international break. I could be completely wrong. We might see his name on the team sheet tomorrow, but I think bench is a push at best for Libby Kakachi, because we don't want to rush him in like we have done from his previous injury, which we know how that resulted. He got injured like 2 games back after he did return. So again, hopefully once he comes back and is back fully fit, that'll be the end of any injuries Kakachi gets over the course of the season. Looking as well, all the players that were on international duty for Wrexham, you're looking at the likes of Issa Kabore, Kiefer Moore, Nathan Broadhead. Parky said they'll all be available for our trip to Stoke tomorrow, so no injuries have been sustained there, no fitness issues, so that's really, really good. We seem to have a really good sort of squad growing now, players coming back from injury. Yeah, it's all lining up to be a very good game tomorrow away at Stoke, which we're going to be talking about now. It's a big one tomorrow as Championship football does return obviously after the international break, and it's Wrexham's first trip back to Stoke City since that memorable FA Cup day in 2015, which I was there for. What a day that was. Mark Carrington get his head in on the ball. Again, what could have been on that day if we'd have defended a bit better, but it's our return back 10 years on. Never did I think, of course, when Wrexham were the National League minnows going to Premier League Stoke City, that now we'll be playing them in a league match, and we've got a very good chance of winning this fixture. So it all comes around in a full circle. We're returning back to the Bet365, or the Britannia, as I'm sure a lot of people at home will be calling it. If we're looking at Stoke, they're going to be no pushovers. They sit 5th in the Championship and have deserved to be where they are. They've had some really good points across the board of the season. They've started very strongly, and if we're looking further on the points they've gained, they've got points off the likes of Birmingham, Southampton, Middlesbrough, of course. Southampton and Birmingham, mid-table, but still very solid teams, and still a Stoke team that finished at the bottom end of the table last year. So to see their change in fortune and see them competing back at the top end of the table is testament to the brilliant manager they do have in Mark Robins, who I think is going to just get the best out of Stoke City over the course of the season. Whether he has a really good squad or a bad squad, that's one thing you can guarantee from Mark Robins, is a very good performance from the team week in, week out. So like I said, they're going to be no pushovers. It's going to be a very feisty affair. I'm expecting a great atmosphere inside the stadium, which Stoke City sort of renowned for, of course, a couple of years back. They've got a great set of fans, and over the years it's been a slightly emptier Bet365, but you know, like we've seen many a times, once Wrexham come to town, there's no doubt it's going to be a sellout tomorrow. If we're looking at Stoke City, they've picked up 7 points at home this season out of a possible 12. They sit 11th in the home form table, whereas Wrexham come into this game as the away team. We sit 9th in the away form table. So despite there being 14 places separating both teams in the table, I think it's going to be a more even game than I think what some people expect. It's not going to be easy, don't get me wrong, but I don't think we're going into this game looking at a 2-3-0 defeat. If anything, I'm looking at this thinking we've got a very good chance of at least taking a point, even further, getting all 3. The form of both teams going into the international break was near enough identical. 3 low-scoring draws for both teams. I think Wrexham had 3 1-1 draws, Stoke had 2 1-1 draws and a 0-0. So both teams will be looking to get back into the fixture after that week off break, and will be looking to get 3 points on the board. Like I said, it's going to be a brilliant atmosphere, and I'm sure it's going to be a really good affair. And let's hope we can keep Sorba Thomas quiet, because watching him against Belgium the other night with his corners, he couldn't beat the first man. He was annoying in that game, but I'm sure he'll have a really good effect on the game as to whether Stoke City get 3 points or not. So he's the player to look out for. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below, and let me know your score predictions. And yeah, it's going to be a massive game. Since the last video as well that I did do on the channel regarding the Wrexham card collection for past and present Wrexham players, we've had a few new players come into the album. Of course, if we're looking here, we've got the first page. We don't need to talk about those too much. We've gone through those. We've also got, I think we added Stephen Fletcher to the collection. I'm not sure he was in there the last time we recorded, but that's a nice Stephen Fletcher from the Tops collection. I think that's the 2013-14 one for Stephen Fletcher there. Obviously, they're all the same on that page. We've obviously got the numbered J. Rodriguez and Lewis O'Brien there. Moving on to that page, we've got the Ollie Palmer relic card from what I do believe is the 22-23 away shirt from that season. Signed Connor Cody. Issa Kabore numbered to 350. Broadhead signed. Danny Ward, of course, numbered there. Kiefer Moore numbered. And these are the new ones down the bottom here. Another Issa Kabore one. A numbered Connor Cody there. Another Kiefer Moore card there, which I think is numbered higher 275. Yes, a lot of you won't be liking this card at home because obviously it's an England Connor Cody card, but again, I couldn't say no to that. Signed Connor Cody from the 22 World Cup, which I think is a really good one to add to the collection. And another numbered Lewis O'Brien from a rookie card from his first season in the Premier League for Nottingham Forest. So a couple have been added to the collection. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below, what your favourite card is from my current collection. And yeah, let's hope they can bring the EFL cards out very, very soon, because I'm itching to get my hands on that and to get collecting all the Wrexham players. So yeah, that is it for today's video. If you did enjoy, make sure to drop a like. Make sure to click the red subscribe button as well for more Wrexham AFC content. And until then, take care guys, up the town.